Okay, so we are going to be starting to talk about cell division. And so it's important to go over the human life cycle and talk about where meiosis occurs and where mitosis occurs. So when we look at the human life cycle, we have male individuals and female individuals. And the males produce sperm, and the females produce eggs. That is the biological definition of male and female. The sperm are smaller, so whichever sex produces the smaller gamete is by default a male. So it doesn't really matter about external genitalia, or because, like, for example, a lot of birds don't even have external genitalia. And it doesn't matter about who gets pregnant, because there are species like the seahorse where it is the male that actually receives the fertilized eggs into a pouch. He has to take care of them, and they hatch out, and he actually gives birth to them after they hatch out. So by definition, the sexes have to do with the size of the gametes. So these are called gametes. And so when we look at the sperm and the egg, draw my little nuclei in them, we say that the sperm and the egg are haploid, meaning that they have half of the number of chromosomes and half of the genetic information. So 1N would mean that they have one copy of every chromosome. So the number of chromosomes is actually species specific. So in humans, we have 23 total chromosomes. And that means that there are no pairs of chromosomes. And that's really important, because the pairs are going to come in to existence when the egg fertilizes, or when the sperm fertilizes the egg. So these will come together and they form a zygote. And the zygote is essentially just the fertilized egg, but it is now diploid, and it is 2N. And what that means is that it has 46 total chromosomes, and it has pairs. So I'm ran out of room here, but the zygote has 23 pairs of chromosomes. And sometimes you can see that in an image where one set will be blue, which supposedly is from the father, right? That's how they just mark them. And one set is red, and that is from the mother. And so you get one of each chromosome coming together in the zygote. So from here, we start off as a single egg, and then the single fertilized egg undergoes cell division. So we have the zygote, and then it is going to undergo a type of cell division where it is going to divide and divide again. Right? And so this type of cellular reproduction, where we have a parent cell that is diploid, and then we have daughter cells, and they're just called daughter cells. I don't know why. They could be called son cells. They could be called offspring cells. They just named them daughter cells. They're not female because they are also diploid. And then we have, again, these would be the same thing. They're daughter cells and they're diploid. And so this type of cell division is asexual, and it involves mitosis. So this is how we go from a single fertilized egg into a multicellular embryo. So this is important in embryonic development. It's also the way that we grow. And it is also important for repair. So for example, like regeneration. There's parts of our body, regeneration, that is regeneration that is regenerated. So for example, our blood cells, right? Our skin cells. Sometimes our liver cells can even undergo regeneration. And so can our bones actually can regenerate themselves as well. Okay. So when we go back to that process of producing the egg and the sperm, so we start out with a diploid cell, and through 2 cell divisions, it is going to produce, for example, haploid cells. This is a haploid cells. We'll talk about this in more detail, but I just wanted to point out that this process is what we call meiosis. And what is really cool about this is that these diploid cells are, when you're an embryo, your body decides which cells get to have the potential for being passed on to the next generation, and it puts those cells aside. And so where are they located? They are located in the ovaries and the testes. So this is the only place where meiosis takes place. So those diploid cells are very special in that they are sometimes referred to as germline cells. So this is a germline cell because it could potentially pass its genetic information up into an offspring. And that's the only place where meiosis occurs in our body, whereas mitosis occurs in many different areas.